Now, as mentioned, the countdown to November is on, and with comes a unique blend of excitement and uncertainty in the stock market. So how could global and Indonesian stock markets be impacted by the U.S. election and its potential outcome? Now, connecting with us is Astronacci founder and CEO, Bbri. Gema, how are you? How's it going?
I'm doing fine, brother. I'm doing fine. Thank you.
I mean, you're right on the action, so you might see some things over there. So let's go through the S&P 500 first. Let's see how it compares between how was it previously and how is it coming up. How do you see if one win over the other?
When we see the S&P 500 for the U.S. election impact, we're going to compare 2016 versus 2020.
Okay.
Both were bullish. So I believe the history will repeat itself, and it's likely that the poll, Republicans has a bigger chance to win this time, especially after Trump drama, after the shot of his campaign. And I think that the market's going to get even higher when the Republic wins the battle. So based on the history, we can also see that, it's very obvious, 7.5% in 2020, and we can also see the election is pretty close to the sun in Capricorn cycle, which is in the November 5th, like a month before the Christmas rally. And then I believe that will align. And market will get a beneficiary from the U.S. election this time.
All right, so we're going to look at let's point it out. If Trump wins, which stock should we look into deeper?
Based on the statistic in 2016, we're looking for technology, APL, Meta, Tesla, and Microsoft are probably going to have like double-digit impact for bullishness. So we're looking at 15 to 40% at least for this stock. But on the other hand, if Democrat wins, which is Kamala Harris, investment in the green industry will surge again, supported by the plan of the nature of Kamala combating climate change. So we're looking at another green industry, which is Tesla, is got an opportunity to rise higher no matter who's the winner, because the battery, right? Electric car will always more into the green industry. And then we got several stocks like BEP, I3, and the NASDAQ, and then XYL. Based on the 2020 presidential elections, they got more than like 20 to 60% gain. And then Tesla in 2020 gained about like 124%. So that will be our notes for this 2024 election.
Interesting. So you mentioned Tesla, no matter who actually wins, they're going to see a gain. But again,
exactly.
It looks like Tesla going to only gain, not only, we're talking about like almost 40% if Trump actually takes the office. And then your prediction is around 124% if Kamala Harris actually going to take office for Tesla.
That's based on the 2020 history, right? Okay. So Tesla has two sectors which is really great. First is pro to the green because it's electric, and then the other one is the technology, that will be a great sector when Trump wins the battle.
All right, interesting. Now let's take a look at the U.S. stock indices. You have the support line at 5720, and then the upside at 6300. Go through this with us.
Yeah, the whole trend is pretty much bullish. And a little sideways for the past 2 weeks probably is going to wait for the U.S. election. But as long as the prices not go lower than 57.20, I believe the trend will continue to at least 6,000 and 6,300. And there's a vibrational date and the new moon phase on the November 1st, 2024. That will be an end of the sideways, I believe. And it's like 4 days before the election. Probably there's some front runner comes. They already know who's going to be the winner, and then they will buy. Of course, prior to the elections, they need to buy cheaper stocks. So we're going to wait for, let's say the price is going to make a new bottom or new support. It's like a week before the election, and then after that, if the market accepts who is the president, I guess the S&P 500 will continue its bullish rally.
Hey, can you give me like a timeline here? You're seeing the expected upside prices at 6,300. Like when are we going to see 6,000 before the end of the year, or how do you see this going to go?
I guess for the 6,300, we're looking until the first quarter 2024. So the Sun and Capricorn cycle until the Sun in Taurus will take about like 4 months, and then based on the historical in the 2022, but we cannot compare like that because the 2020, I mean, the 2020 we have the vaccine, right? And then that's a completely different scenario with now. But at least if we're looking for 6,300, the first quarter 2025 will be the aiming point, probably like April, something like that.
All right, so let's go to the JCI for a second. Now, how the U.S. election will impact on the JCI?
Now, since 2008, right, we're looking for the 4 years impact, and then every time U.S. election happened, the JCI got at least 23 to 35%, and then from the 2020, after the COVID recovery, it rose about 45%. That's why now if you can see the JCI stock and then it looks like declining every single day, probably it's going to wait until the U.S. elections, because if you see now the banking stocks that's become the backbone of Indonesian market, they made a double-digit profits, but the market is down. It's like Bri has made a lot of profits, but the stock is going down and lower every single day. We believe on the 1st of November, that will be the new bottom for the JCI, from which that market is waiting for U.S. election, and the JCI could rise higher after the election. People need to buy a lower price with the stocks. Maybe the fund manager or the front runner, they already know who is the winner. So they need to buy more and more Indonesian market, because fundamentally, all the blue chip stocks, they made money in the real world. I mean, the financial report showing a good numbers.
All right, so let's go through BBRI one more second. So I think we have the graphic on that one. So you mentioned it's gonna bottom up on November 1st, which is gonna be Friday, and then we're gonna look up a support of what the support numbers are like. Are we seeing at the bottom?
Yeah, we're looking at maximums. It could go down until 4,500, and then there's a lot of upside gap. And the closest target will be about like 5,500, and then the final target for next year is 6,400. So this over like 35 to 40% gain, then short-term trader or long-term investor should never miss this opportunity. Like 4,500 will be the maximum support, but you're probably going to buy about like 46 to 4,700, and then you keep it until next year.
All right, so disclaimer on, I just want to make sure, you say the bottom is going to be at 4,500, and we're actually going to see around 6,000 sometimes next year. Is that right? That's you mentioned.
Yeah,
right.
So the theoretical support is about 45, but again, the price could stop descending or stop declining before 45. So get ready to buy around the 1st to the 2nd November 2024. Just get ready, okay?
All right. Another disclaimer on again. You mentioned big banks. We already saw BRI. Can we look at Mandiri?
Yeah, Mandiri is another option, and the pattern is pretty much the same. And we're looking at 7,300, and then maximum support. I think today this looks like it's the support. It's like the 30 to 31st. As long as the prices not go lower than 6,400, that's another options to buy. If you don't like BRI, you can choose Bmri, and then I'm looking for 7,300 minimums, and then the next will be the all-time high for Bank Mandiri.
All right, so that's interesting. Let me go back really quickly on Trump or Harris, who's got who's going to be taking over. So how does it look like if either or, again, you know, I have to ask these questions every time you're here. The gold prices, I mean, we talked about it last week, and then today, of course, it hits another all-time high. So how is that going to go either or, like if it Trump's win or if it Harris wins?
So no matter who's the president, if the Fed keep cutting the rate, okay, that's number one. The gold will get appreciation. And number two, in November 2024, we have the Mercury retrograde cycle begins, which is 75% that's going to make a gold moving a bullish trend. And then the Sun in Capricorn on the 21st of December, that will be a incredibly effect the gold to be a bullish, okay? So we got a two big cycle that will make gold to move in a bullish trend, and we're looking about like 2850 to 2900 with that impact. But before that, get ready for a like short dip or something like that, and then people will collect in the lower price, but the trend is still bullish until otherwise it's proven that the bearish trend is start taking a the part of this gold trading, then I will still recommend to buy on weakness. So you got to remember, November, we got a Mercury retrograde. In December, we got a Sun in Capricorn. So it's a very strong bullish for the end of the year, which is that also in conjunction with the U.S. election.
All right, so let me make sure I get this right. Again, disclaimer on. You mentioned at the end of the year, we're still going to see a bullish trend, but like you mentioned earlier, there's going to be a dip. Are we going to see it anytime soon, or is that coming up later?
Yeah, I mean, like for the past 7 days, it's already like amazingly rose higher, but no correction at all. If we're looking for another $200 per troy ounce running, so we believe there will be a little corrections that people will come in and maybe the retail traders start taking the profits. So that's normal, right? What I'm saying is if we have the big astrological cycle in November and December, so we should look closely to buy the gold instead of doing the short selling in the gold.
All right, so before I let you go, you're there in the U.S. at the moment. So how do you see the inflation's going on right now, and then how do you see the impact later on for the next rate cut that we're gonna see in November?
Yeah, I mean, like people here, there's not much different between like 6 months ago and now. I live in LA, okay, and then a week ago I was in Orlando, in Florida, and California. California is always more expensive than everywhere. Okay, so we believe that everything will be fine, and people happy with the Fed rate cut, and then probably the housing will be more attractive, and they're waiting for the Trump but California is Democrat, of course, but people in the U.S. maybe they're looking for the Trump, but I don't see any change within today until maybe next week. I think everything should be the same like last week. But we should pay attention to the Federal Reserve rate. That's more important than election because people already know probably the Democrat will win. The vote is already showing that Trump probably gonna be the winner.
All right, Gama, thank you so much for spending time with us again here again. I'll see you again next week, and then of course by the time next week we should be able to see the result of the election.
All right.
Thank you again.
Sure.
All right, with that, we're going for a break, but after that, we'll be back with more news. So stay tuned on C to the Business.